Please welcome Game Director Matt Firor.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is a huge honor to come here. To have the Quakecon people invite us to come down and talk. We're always really happy to come to Dallas. It's a great show. I love walking around. People are awesome. It's really cool to see Quakecon and walk through the BYOC. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about our first DLC pack for Elder Scrolls Online, as well as what's coming up after that. Before I do that, I want to say we're streaming live on Twitch right now. So, hello world. But before I get started with what's coming up next, let me talk a little bit about what we've been up to the last year or so. Obviously, we launched last year, and then we went through about 6 updates of kind of huge additions to the game over the last 12 months or so. We added things like the justice system, where you could live a life of crime and profit by it, which I personally love. I didn't say that. We also kind of revamped our combat system to make it more interesting, more exciting, more weighty, and a whole bunch of other things. A champion system, which redid the way players work on into the veteran ranks. So we added a whole lot of stuff. In March, we relaunched as Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited. We dropped the required subscription and went to subscription optional. It's been huge since then. It's been a crazy rocket ride. We launched on consoles 6 weeks ago. It's been just crazy, especially the numbers we got at console launch were absolutely nutty. It took us a couple of weeks to get our servers back together. We had to increase capacity, but we got through that. Things are much smoother now. Things are going on, so now we can look forward to what's coming up next. Before I get started in Imperial City itself, I'm going to talk a little bit about the way content works going forward from now on. So this is a named DLC pack, Elder Scrolls Online, Imperial City. Expect to see a named DLC pack of some kind quarterly. So we're going to, about every 12 weeks or so, you're going to see something named with a cool concept, content, new systems, things like that. The way this works is that if you're an ESO Plus member, you get all the DLC included as part of ESO Plus for as long as you're a subscriber. You can of course, purchase it a la carte in the Crown Store if you want to. Either way works fine. All DLC will be like this. Of course, we'll do tons of other stuff in between, bug fixing, polish, what we call quality of life fixes. We're going to be talking about some of them later on as well. So what is Imperial City? Just want to go over some basics. I have some guys from the studio who are going to come out here and talk about some of these systems in depth. But basically, it's a DLC pack that broadens the PvP experience and adds a little more PvE. So it's the first time you get kind of close quarter PvP content with PvE mixed in, so it's story-based PvP. It's in the Imperial City, which is a hallmark of Elder Scrolls. We'll talk a little bit about that too. It's got 2 completely PvE standard 4-player dungeons for those that love dungeons with both veteran and regular mode. It's got a PvP public dungeon, so imagine a public dungeon from the game, and imagine other players in it that want to kill you. And that's basically what it is. And of course, tons of new gear and rewards. We're going to have many new item sets. We've done some cool things with abilities that you're going to get while adventuring through Imperial City. So it's always interesting in a game like this that's based on an IP that everyone knows and loves. When we introduce something like the Imperial City, everyone remembers where they saw it first, which is in Oblivion in Elder Scrolls 4. So this is the same Imperial City that was there. We're set about 700 years before Oblivion, but the Imperial City is far older than that. So it hasn't changed a whole lot in that time frame. We really took the hallmark look and feel of the city, the architecture, and we wanted to, our number one goal was you go into it, you feel like you've been there before, because I'm sure all of you have. So just a couple hundred years in the future. So you'll remember things like, this is all from Oblivion. There are different districts. This is the Arboretum district. We have each of these. There are 6 in the city. Each of them has their own story, and you'll play through it as well as PvPing. There's some critical differences, though, in our time frame. Moloch Ball, the demon lord, the Daedric lord, who is so much a part of the main story, has invaded the city. So there are Stalingrad-style street fights between the Imperials and the Daedra, and of course the three alliances. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in detail when some of the other guys come out. I want to talk a little bit about the way we approached going back to this hallmark Elder Scrolls city, where all of you spent so much time in Oblivion. This is kind of an artist worksheet that one of the concept artists would have worked from. You can see the screenshots from the original game, some sketches in the middle of how the architecture would work. We wanted to keep the exact same architecture, but we're a third and first-person game, so we need to scale things up a little bit so the camera didn't get hung up on things. From there, we went on to making some more finished concept pieces. You can see here some wall segments. You would see, lampposts spread around the city. Of course, the Imperial banner that still flies in our time as it was in Oblivion. For more recognizable, large points of interest, as we call them, POIs, this is the arena, which a lot of us spent a lot of time in Oblivion. The artist did a big orthogonal drawing, calling out different places like where it's been ruined as part of the street fighting, also where it's been, where players can go, where they can actually climb, where they can't, all that stuff. So much more detail for big pieces like that. And then we painted a whole bunch of mood pieces. For those of you that play and have played in Cyrodiil, you'll have seen this view because you're in Cyrodiil looking off over the Imperial City. You can see it looks familiar, but man, it's not a happy place in this time frame. The White Gold Tower is basically has a giant anchor over top of it. You can tell there's a lot of bad stuff going on, and that is the focus of the story in the expansion. Here's the Arboretum District. You can see it's very, very similar to the screenshot we showed from Oblivion, except this time you can see Daedra are kind of patrolling the streets. They're burning books. That's a huge part of the storyline, which we'll go into, of why they're burning all the books in the Imperial City. And you can see it, you recognize it immediately as the Arboretum. Here's the White Gold Tower in the distance with the giant anchor over top. This is the actual place of one of the dungeons, which is White Gold Tower Dungeon. So you'll get to go to it, and it'll tell you the story of why there's a giant anchor over the top of it and how to stop the plane meld from happening. For creatures, this is a Daedric Invasion DLC. I mean, there's no bones about it. So we wanted to make the new creatures for this really big and badass and evil. So we took here's an artist concept we took the Winged Twilight monster from the base game, and since Moloch Ball kind of twists his minions and it makes them bigger and more evil, we came up with a concept for the Grievous Twilight, which is a giant boss monster. So the artist then kind of picked a direction. You can see they textured it a little bit, a very detailed picture. This would have gone to a modeler. It did go to a modeler, then to a rigger, animator, and of course a texture artist. And this is what he looks like in game. Giant badass monster. He's roaming the streets of the Imperial City. So this is an actual screenshot. We have a bunch of new boss monsters that are actually roaming the streets as world bosses, so you're going to run into these guys a lot. This is just one of them, and we'll show you some video of them in a minute. In terms of art, we also wanted to make sure that the rewards were visually appealing, so here's some concept art for our new Alliance armors. Since the Imperial City is being fought over by the three alliances, we wanted to give each alliance kind of a hallmark armor that they could work for. We got tons of armor sets in the expansion. This is just one of them. This is obviously the Aldmeri Dominion one. You can see the eagle call-outs on the shoulders. It's very Altmer inspired. Here's the Daggerfall Covenant version. These are what you can aspire to if you want to build a set. And the Ebonheart Pact one, which is obviously based on Dragon Knight. They're really, really cool, and they're just a couple of examples of armor sets, and we have a whole bunch of new stuff. In fact, we're going to devote part of the presentation just to rewards and new armor and how they work together. So for visual design, again, we wanted to make sure it felt like you had been there before, and now you're back at a place you'd been before, and there's a giant battle going on, and you're in it. So that's the goal. To talk more about the story and kind of the systems and the design and the way they work together, I'm going to bring up Rich Lambert. He's the new creative director for ESO.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Matt. Hello, Quakecon, and hello, everybody at Twitch. My name is Lambert, and I'm the creative director for Elder Scrolls Online. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about some of the design goals that we had for this DLC, as well as touch on some of the major story beats. So one of the very first things that we do whenever we design a new zone or a new feature is to come up with a list of acceptance criteria or design goals. And these are really important because they allow everybody on the team to make sure they're all working from the same set of goals. They're working towards the same thing. And it's especially important over the course of development because that takes some time. And we want to make sure that we never stray away from the original intent. We had a ton of design goals for this DLC. And I'm not going to touch on every single one of those, but I am going to talk about what I consider to be the three most important ones. So first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that we expanded upon the PvP offering in Elder Scrolls Online. Cyrodiil is awesome, but it's a little bit more wide open. The focus is on large-scale battles, keep and siege battles. And for Imperial City, we wanted to change that up a little bit and have the focus be a little bit more on close-quarter combat, really frenetic and adrenaline-pumping style of gameplay. So it's a little bit smaller scale and a little bit more street battles. The second goal we had for the Imperial City DLC was to take the Molag Bal storyline and his invasion of Tamriel and kind of wrap that up and put it in a good spot. We have a ton of new stories that we want to tell in future DLC, and this was the perfect opportunity for us to wrap that up on a really high note. And finally, our third goal for the Imperial City was to do all of this in a really iconic and familiar space in Elder Scrolls. And to me, nothing is more iconic than the Imperial City and the White Gold Tower. So now that you have an understanding of the original design intent behind this DLC, just what is this? And Matt touched on this a little bit earlier, but this is PvE and PvP in the same space. We've focused a little bit more here on story-driven content. And the way we came about doing that was to take a lot of the lessons learned from the PvE in Cyrodiil and combining that with the lessons we learned in the Overland PvE zones and kind of combine those two together. And our goal here was to make sure we were telling a really cool story, but at the same time not adversely affecting the PvP content. As Matt mentioned, we also have 2 brand new group PvE instances. And we also have added a bunch of new monsters. And Matt touched on the Grievous Twilight. And I'm going to introduce the Xivkyn. And the Xivkyn you can actually see here in this screenshot. This is what they look like. And this is Molag Bal's elite of elite forces. They're his most trusted and his big badasses. So when you run across these guys in the Imperial City or in the sewers below, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. We've also added in a brand new alternate currency, and this is really what drives kind of that adrenaline-pumping PvP. There's nothing more exciting than running around in the Imperial City and not knowing who's around the next corner and always kind of looking over your shoulder while you're doing the things you're doing in here. We've had a ton of fun playing with this internally, and we really can't wait to see what you guys have to say about it. And of course, no DLC would be complete without adding a ton of new gear, pets, costumes. There's a whole bunch of new drop sets. There's new crafted sets. And in just a few minutes, Eric Wrobel is going to come up, and he's going to talk a little bit more in detail about those sets. So how does all of this work? So I guess the first thing I want to touch on before I talk about the Imperial City in and of itself is the 2 new PvE instances that we've added. They all follow the same dungeon rules that we've already established in the base game. So these are PvE only, and when you get the DLC, either by purchasing it in the Crown Store or just being a member of ESO Plus, you're going to automatically discover the fast travel points to these dungeons. So if you're not a PvPer and you don't want to deal with the PvP or going into Cyrodiil or exploring the Imperial City, you can just group up with your friends and just go and play. And I'll probably repeat that a few times over the next few minutes, so bear with me there. So the way this works is when you get the DLC, you're going to jump into your home campaign. Imperial City is tied to your campaign. So you're going to jump into Cyrodiil, you're going to go to your home keep, and there's a quest there that you can pick up that will direct you to the sewers. And when you enter the sewers, you arrive in your Alliance home base. This is their base of operations. And all the services you need will be there. And then really from there, it's up to you what you want to do. You can either progress down into the sewers, which is this massive 3-tiered public dungeon that's got PvP enabled in it, or you can go up to the overland districts above. And these districts, we've got all 6 districts from the Imperial City in Oblivion. Each of these districts has their own story and their own theme. And as you're progressing through these districts, it unlocks another piece of the puzzle, and you slowly find out just what the heck Molag Bal is up to here. And that segues nicely into the overarching story behind the Imperial City. So Matt touched on this a little bit, but this is really Molag Bal's last-ditch effort at the plane meld. And Molag Bal is the prince of scheming, the prince of cunning. He's always got a plan. And he's devised another plan to make it so that nobody can ever interfere with his plans for the future. Nobody can ever stop him from taking over Tamriel, as long as he's successful. And of course, it's up to you to foil that and stop that. I actually have a couple of quick videos here that I want you to take a look at, and these are these show you some of the visuals that you can expect to see in both the sewer system and the districts above. So let's take a look. So that's just a quick sneak peek at kind of what you can expect in the districts and the sewer system below. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to talk about the 2 new PVE instances. So like I mentioned earlier, this is the first instance I want to talk about is the Imperial City Prison. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a 4-player group PVE only instance. It follows the same rule set as all of our existing dungeons, and so it's got both a regular and veteran mode. And I'm going to issue a little bit of a spoiler warning right now. You know, for those of you that haven't played through Cold Harbor yet, you're probably going to want to plug your ears and cover your eyes for a few minutes while I talk about some of the story elements here. So when you arrive in this instance, you're going to meet an old friend. Well, friend's probably not the right word. Maybe accomplice or somebody that you've already met before. And that's Lyrinth. And for those of you that remember Lyrinth, she was a Daedra that you met in Cold Harbor. And she has this never-ending quest, it seems, to seek revenge and retribution against those that have wronged both her and her clan previously. So when you arrive in this instance with your group mates, she is begrudgingly going to allow you to progress through here and rescue any Imperial prisoners you find, as long as you agree to help her take out the Daedric warden at the very end. She's got a bit of an axe to grind with him. I'm going to show another video here really quick, and I don't want to spoil any of the encounters here, because the team really kind of went above and beyond. So it's really just going to focus in on a lot of the really cool visuals that you can expect to see. So let's take a look. So while you're watching this video, just pay attention to the fact that the Daedra have been here for a while, so that's why you're starting to see some of the elements of Cold Harbor being pulled in here. The plane meld has kind of already started. The next instance I want to talk about is the White Gold Tower. And for me personally, this is the one that I'm the most excited about, I guess, if I had to pick one. And the reason being is the team, really kind of struggled early on with this dungeon. We gave them the make something cool in the White Gold Tower. And that's really tough because this is a super iconic space and you can't really do a ton because when you get into Oblivion, you see this thing there. And so the team really worked hard at, iterating on the story and the encounters here. And I think they came up with something that's really impressive, and it's a ton of fun to play. And at the risk of repeating myself here, this is a 4-player group instance. It follows the same rule set as all of our existing dungeons, so it's got a regular and veteran mode. It also has an Undaunted Daily, just like the the Imperial City Prison does. And the story here is basically when the Daedra invaded the Imperial City, the Moth Priests and the White Gold Tower hid all of the Elder Scrolls. And they did that because they really didn't want Molag Bal to get his hands on any of this really cool stuff. And when you arrive, you're tasked with recovering one of these scrolls. And this one scroll in particular is really important to preventing the plane meld and preventing the White Gold Tower, which is kind of the center of Tamriel, of being pulled into Cold Harbor. And as you progress through this dungeon, you and your group mates will recover this scroll. And when you do, something a little bit unexpected happens. And so let's take a look here. So that's just a really quick sneak peek into some of the things you can expect to see in the Imperial City and in the sewers below, as well as the 2 brand new group instances we have. I think the team did a really good job at building this content out. I think it's some of the best content we've built to date, and we're really excited for you all to be able to get in there and start playing it as soon as possible. On that note, I'm really excited to announce that next week, on our public test realm for PC, the Imperial City DLC is going to be live. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. So I highly encourage all of you to jump in next week, start playing this, and start giving us feedback. We're really interested to hear what you have to say, especially concerning things like the itemization. You know, we've got a ton of new items in here, a ton of new item sets, the overall monster balance, and then obviously the Tel Var system. You know, it's a little bit controversial, and we're going to be testing a lot of different ways to make it work, and we need your feedback to make sure that we get it right. So again, you know, please jump in, start playing it next week, and start posting. I'm always lurking on the forums, and I really can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thanks, everybody. Up next is Mr. Brian Wheeler.
Good job, Cap. Oh! I dropped it. I couldn't help it. All right. I dropped the clicker in case you didn't see that on Twitch. So, as Rich said, I'm the PvP lead, the crazy person who makes everybody try to figure out how to kill each other. Before I get started, though, I want to send a quick thank you to everybody back at the studio. Without the artists, programmers, developers, writers making Imperial City, we wouldn't be here today. So again, thank you, everybody back home in Baltimore. Give them a round of applause, yeah. So Imperial City PvP. Like you heard earlier, we wanted to expand on what the Cyrodiil offer was for PvP, and Imperial City really gave us a cool opportunity to do that. Like Matt said, the world is built sort of the same. The 6 districts are there, the sewers are there, but they're expanded a lot more. And we had to build it with PvP in mind. Here you kind of see a picture of a guy on top of a respawn point in one of the districts. That's a pretty important note because every district will have an alliance respawn point. It'll be elevated. You can respawn there, take a look at what's going on in front of you. You'll be able to choose to go out in front and engage some people, or people fighting enemies, or go out a back way. And every spawn point will be elevated and safe. You can fight other people, but again, this is a different style of PvP. It's not like Cyrodiil, where there's huge swaths of territory, keep battles, and sieges. This is a street brawl. And this is a lot of fun running around looking for people to kill in smaller groups, as well as just fighting people in general in a confined space. And speaking of a confined space, the sewers are also PvP flagged. This is just one of the maps of the sewers, which is a huge interconnected PvP public dungeon. You can see it has varied terrain in there. It's not just one room with a hallway and one room with a hallway. There's actually elevation. And in these rooms, you don't know what's coming around that corner. In the picture here, we have a monster moving around up top, some guys in the bottom, but coming around that corner, you don't know if it's going to be a bunch of enemy players fighting you or if it's going to be a sweeper or other big bad boys coming to kill you. Now, access to Imperial City is going to be tested thoroughly on our public test server. First off, when we open it up, it's going to be open to all alliances to go into the Imperial City. There are 3 entrances located out in Cyrodiil. They're in public areas on the non-slaughterfish side of Lake Rumar. So you don't need to worry about swimming across that lake. But these doors are alliance agnostic, which means when you click on it, you would just end up in your safe location in the sewers. And in that safe location, there's a place to get some quests, do some crafting, and buy some cool gear with Tel Var stones that Mr. Wrobel will talk about here in a little bit. And speaking of Tel Var stones, this is the new currency that you're going to be able to get from Imperial City. And this is what is bringing back that sense of adrenaline, looking around your shoulder and hunting people down. But before we get to that, these drop from all PvE encounters. This means any monster you kill, any treasure chest you lockpick, finishing off daily quests out in the city, and also just running around and doing various events, you'll get Tel Var stones out of the system. But if you kill an enemy player, you're going to get the stones that they're carrying. And this is huge. This is what's going to bring this fear, worry, and like, oh my God, what's going around the corner? And that is what we found in our playtesting is quite awesome. We will be testing whether you're going to get all of your stones lost or a percentage of it. Again, your feedback, like Rich mentioned, is going to be invaluable when we get to that point on our public test server. So this is hunting season. It's looking around for people to kill, trying to find them as you're going around corners, in districts, in the sewers, crouching around, sneaking. This is kind of the PvP that we have been wanting to bring to ESO. Like again, it is not the same as Cyrodiil. You will be moving around quietly, looking around. You may engage somebody while they're fighting a monster. You may engage somebody while they're fighting another enemy player. And again, that is really, really fun. What else is new? You kind of seen some sweepers. Matt talked about the Grievous Twilight. This big boy, he moves around in the arena district. We have 12 sweeper bosses entirely moving around through the districts. They're all unique. They all have crazy abilities that will fight against large masses of players or smaller groups. You will definitely need to bring buddies to take these guys on. In the sewers, we have some Xivkyn battles. You kind of saw what they look like there, but we have some fine-tuned rooms where some of these bosses are, as well as sweepers that move through the sewers as well. And again, that adds to that excitement of going through the districts, being a little concerned about what may be happening around a corner or in a room. That excitement goes through the sewers too. And last, we have treasure vaults. This is a new thing where instead of having a quest to go out and collect 20 things and come back and talk to an NPC to get a reward, we thought it was more fun to just run around, collect a bunch of things as you're killing stuff, and then go into what we call a treasure vault. When you go through that treasure vault, you'll be able to open a chest, and from that chest, you get some special sets that Eric is going to talk about again in a little bit. So it's a new way to PvP. It's built for small groups. It's built for larger groups as well. But you're going to see the combat in here is entirely different. Without siege weaponry and fighting over keeps, it really is a street brawl, and it's a lot of fun to roam around in there looking for people to kill. The Tel Var stone system is huge in terms of making this sense of worry and concern about, oh, what's going on? Do I want to get back to my sewer section and turn my stones in and be safe, or do I want to take that risk and keep running around and killing people, killing NPCs to get those stones built up to buy better gear? And like Rich said, this is on PTS next week. We will be wanting your feedback, and I know that you guys know I'm on the forums a lot. Rich is on the forums, and we've been watching all your feedback, and we take it into heart when we're doing development like this. So, you saw a couple videos already. We're going to have a video here that goes over some small PvP action, a little 4-on-4, a little 6-on-6 in the districts, as well as some battling of some of the bosses in the sewers, and you may see some guys fighting each other in that case too. But let's take a look at what PvP looks like inside Imperial City. Thank you. So yeah, it is a street brawl. I especially love the huge Daedroth biting off the scamp head and slamming it down. Eric loves it when I react that. Speaking of Eric Wrobel, let's bring him out now. He's going to talk about some cool gear. And with that, here's Eric Wrobel, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Class Balance Item Man himself. You have the clicker. Here you go. It's real slow.
Thanks a lot. That's actually one of my favorite Brians at the studio. He does a lot of great work. It's good to be here in Texas. I decided to go for a little run at high noon out on the track. There were a couple people walking, a lot of people staring, and no one else running. So I have some advice. Don't do that at all. Okay, so I'd like to talk to you guys about all the rewards and cool stuff you guys are going to get from all the great content that they've been telling you about. And first off, I'd like to talk a little bit about the high-level goals that we had for the team on the itemization. we wanted to have an equality or a parity between the different types of items that you could get from all the different types of content, both in their power level and in the amount of time it took to acquire them. And then the second major goal we had was we wanted players to be able to get in, play the game for an hour, and be able to accomplish something and get some new gear where they can acquire veteran rank 15 stuff. And then if they're playing for a longer amount of time, you are logged on in the weekend, you're just playing for hours and hours, you can get the veteran rank 16 stuff, which takes a lot longer but is even more stronger. The item power is increased by quite a bit over the veteran rank 14 stuff. 15 is better than that, and 16 is even stronger than that. We have a ton of new sets, and I'll go over the details of all the different new sets and where you'll be able to get them. And you can acquire these through whatever type of activity is your favorite. If you're a crafter and you want to hand make and create the stuff with the exact qualities you want, you can do that. If you prefer to go to dungeons and do PvE style content, you can do that. Or if you love PvPing, you can do that, and you can get great gear that way too. Just to go into a little bit more detail on the item equality. In the game right now, if you craft gear, it has one extra bonus level, which means it has more stats, it has more armor, and it has more weapon power. And we wanted there to be a parity between all these different types of items. So instead of nerfing crafting, which of course we don't want to do, we instead increase the power level on all the dropped items. So they'll now have more weapon damage, more armor, all that stuff. So for the new gear and the specific different locations you can get it, we've added 12 new sets through the dungeons. So there's 6 that you can get in White Gold Tower and 6 that you can get in Imperial City Prison. There are 2 new monster masks, one from each of these new dungeons. And that really cool currency that we've been talking about that gets traded back and forth when you're PvPing, there's 6 new sets you can buy with the Tel Var stones. For crafting, you will of course be able to craft all of the previous sets at veteran rank 16 in addition to 3 new sets that we've added. And then lastly, we've updated a bunch of the PvP sets that we're dropping in Cyrodiil for the rewards for the worthy. You can get the more powerful veteran rank 16 versions. And in general, with the rewards for the worthy, we wanted to source the sets for AP from these bags instead of having people store up a ton of alliance points, and then as soon as the new expansion comes out, people just spend all those points and immediately buy all of the gear, and then they're more powerful than everyone else because they got the veteran 16 stuff immediately, and also they're already kind of bored because they already have the best gear in the game. So sourcing it through the rewards for the worthy meant that people will now be getting these sets as they're playing the game. And we didn't want people to have to comb through tons and tons of bags, because right now some people will complete a night of playing and then they have like 100 mails from the rewards for the worthy guy. So we reduced the number of bags, but they have a better chance to drop these set items, and they give you more gold and more items overall. So I want to define in a little bit more detail what exactly a set is when I'm talking about all of these. So all of these sets include all 7 armor pieces. You will be getting, as previous with any sort of set, when you have 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, you're getting more and more bonuses and more stats for equipping them. And then the 5th is sort of the capstone piece where you get the really powerful, cool power, like being able to drop meteors or something like that. So you can sort of mix and match your sets with, you can wear 5 to 7, or wear different pants or different hats, whatever you want to do. You can mix your sets how you want to. The rest of your loadout, we came up with this new jewelry mini set. And this, we didn't want to have a lot of procs and effects and stuff going off all the time. So these are really easy to understand. They just give you more stats, and they're just nice little small sets that'll increase the power of your character that go up to veteran rank 16. And then, of course, we have the new Undaunted monster masks. There's one for each of the dungeon, as you can see featured here. And we also have all of the other monster masks. You can get veteran rank 16 versions of those from doing the dungeons again that will all be scaled up, or you can go for these new ones. The one on the left here is the Lord Warden monster mask, which is really good for a high health, beefy tank kind of character. And when you get hit with this, you have a chance of putting down an aura of magic protection, which reduces the damage that you and all your nearby allies take. The crafting sets, we wanted to do something similar to the way the sort of cadence of reward worked for people getting gear from PvP. So we didn't want people to store up a ton of ore, and then the expansion drops and they craft all veteran rank 16 gear the first day, and then they're done with their items, they got all the best gear in the game. So what we've done is we've added new materials, new ore and stuff that you get from deconstructing the veteran rank 15 and 16 gear. There are a couple other ways you can get these new crafting materials in addition to deconstructing the VR 15 and 16 items. And these items will drop in the scaled up dungeons. They'll drop in the new dungeons. They'll drop in Imperial City. So as you're going through and collecting these Tel Var stones, you can, and you're just like, crafting is your favorite thing, and you're all about crafting stuff, so you can get materials by spending the stones in addition to deconstruction things, so you can just craft those really quickly. Or if you're a diehard PvPer and you're just really awesome at PvPing and you got your full set of VR 16 gear and you have all the sets and stuff and you don't have anything to do with your Tel Var stones, you can use the stones to purchase these crafting materials and then sell them to other players. So you can convert the Tel Var stones to money if you have a whole lot of extra. Brian Wheeler was talking about when you're running through the Imperial cities, through the sewers specifically, you don't know what's going to be around the next corner, because it could be players, it could be monsters. We also have, in addition to risky, troubling things, we also have awesome events that are going to be randomly spawn up in this area. And treasure scamps are an example of one of them. And when you come across one of these guys, as soon as you engage him, he takes off and just runs through the sewers. And he'll be engaging monsters, he'll be engaging players, he doesn't care. He's just trying to get away. And if you kill him in time, you can get a handful of crafting materials or a handful of Tel Var stones. But if you don't get him in time, he's going to jump in a portal and get on out of there. So in addition to all the new item sets, there's also a couple new cosmetic things and other types of items that I like to call the new toys. I'm just going to talk about a couple of them here. The Soul Shriven skin is really interesting because unlike a costume, which completely changes the visuals of the character, like the Jester where you're wearing the Jester hat, this just changes your skin and not the gear that you're wearing at all. So it's sort of similar to Vampire, how you have a different look on your face when you have it equipped. So it sort of allows you to create a cool, new, different visual on your character. The Portal Stone is an item that you can buy with Tel Var stones. And you can use it anywhere in Imperial City. It takes a little bit it takes about 8 seconds to activate, but then it'll take you right back to your home base, to your safe area. So it's really great to use if you've gone far from your base and you're like me, you're kind of lazy, you don't want to walk all the way back, you can just hit that and go back to base. Or if you've just killed a whole bunch of players, they're going to be respawning and trying to get their Tel Var stones back. So you want to get out of there. So you can activate this and go to base and then bank your stones safely. Another really cool new thing we've added is a new enchantment type. So this you'll put on your armor, and instead of having a magicka enchantment or a health enchantment, you can use this prismatic, and it'll give you health, magicka, and stamina, all three at the same time. So this is really great because it helps support hybrid builds who want to be using magicka and stamina-based abilities at the same time. So to wrap things up, we have a ton of cool new item sets. They offer new ways to customize your character and allow you new distinct gameplay styles that keep up with the metagame and the different things that players are doing. And they also have cool new visuals. And there is now an equality between all the different items. So you can get the most powerful items in the game, regardless of if you like crafting, if you like PvP content, or you like PvE content. You can get the very best stuff. And now I'd like to hand it back to the excellent director, Matt Firor, to wrap things up.
Thanks, Eric. So you can see a game as big as Elder Scrolls Online, we need to make sure that there are rewards for all the different types of gameplay, and that's basically what they were going over. It's, some players play in just like to craft and quests, and some players like to PvP, and we need to make sure there are great rewards for everyone. The Imperial City will be on PTS next week, as we just said. It's going to be on PC on August 31st, and on consoles in mid-September. So it'll be obviously included as part of your ESO Plus subscription, and you can purchase it a la carte in the Crown Store for 2,500 crowns. I said in the beginning that we were going to talk about the Imperial City and beyond, and now is the beyond part, because obviously Imperial City is just the first DLC pack. We have plans for many more. As I said, it's quarterly, so this is the third quarter one, and the fourth quarter one is Orsinium. So expect to see Orsinium in the fourth quarter of this year. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, except to say it's basically what we've been talking about whenever we do. In broad brushstrokes, it is more of the exploration, questing content that you do in the Overland. So if you like that particular part of the aspect of ESO, you're going to love Orsinium. It has a great story. It's about 25 hours or more of gameplay, and expect to hear a lot more about it after Imperial City. I don't think I need to say anything more about the graphic that is on the screen right now. So, Thieves Guild Dark Brotherhood are the next two after Orsinium. They are two separate DLC packs. Expect to see them in the first half of next year, and we'll talk a lot more about them after the first of the year. So just to put it in perspective, it's Imperial City, then it's Orsinium, and then it's the two separate Thieves Guild Dark Brotherhood packs. So I've been talking a lot about named DLC packs, but we also have other items that we work on all the time, and we call these quality of life. You can call them polish, you can call it responding to criticism, you can call it whatever you want. We have a lot of different things that we work on all the time. I want to give you an update on some of these that we're doing, some of which we talked about, some we haven't. This isn't an exhaustive list. We have a lot of things that we're doing. I just want to give you an update on these, just to give you guys an idea. Looking for group system is somewhat challenging, to say the least. The current one, we are committed to making it better, but we also have another idea that we haven't really talked about, and we want to put these two together. We want to allow players to play with players of other alliances in PvE. And we want to make the looking for group system include players from all alliances, and we're going to start in dungeons. So imagine you're in a dungeon finder, you get a group together, and it doesn't matter what alliance you're in. You can just jump into a dungeon and play. So immediately So to put it in really complex math terms, right now the looking for group system is 1/3 of the available player base because it only looks at your alliance. It's going to look at the other alliances very soon. We're not going to stop there. We're going to take it much wider, but we're going to start with just dungeons, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to go from there. So that's just two of the things we're doing. We're going to add subtitles for anyone who is in here who doesn't have it turned on in your chat window on PC or on console. Sometimes NPCs say stuff that's really important, and if your dog's barking at the same time, you sometimes miss it, especially in the tutorial, some of the main quest chapters. So we are going to add native subtitle support so you actually can read what's going on and not just take the audio cues. We are going to add controller support to PC. So, approximately 3 nanoseconds after we announced console, we got the first question, when are you going to add controller support to PC? So we are bringing it to PC. Not only will it come to PC, when you plug in the controller, it will instantly switch over to the controller UI from console. So you'll actually get the full experience right from your PC. Now, we're going to tag this beta because it's a really complex system to have 2 UIs switching back and forth the way it works. And we do this at the office. This is how we develop the game. You touch the mouse, it instantly switches to the keyboard mouse. You touch the controller, it instantly switches to the controller UI. There's some edge cases where sometimes it gets out of sync, so we're going to tag it as beta, but I can tell you it's really fun. We do it every day in the office because we have to test both UIs, so that's going to be a lot of fun for those, and there are many of you that like the living room PC experience. Removing veteran ranks. This is a topic that is, of course, very, for those that have been playing the game for more than a year, and there are many of you. We've been talking about this for a while. We wanted to remove the veteran ranks back when we did the champion system, but there's a simple reason why it's not quite so easy. But we are still committed to removing the veteran ranks. The veteran ranks are part of the leveling system. It touches every part of the game. It touches itemization, abilities, combat. We can't make these changes lightly. We have to make sure that we do it right. We are still going to do it. We are going to do it, and we are going to replace it with just the champion system. So when you get to veteran rank, you can just apply your champion points, and that's the way leveling works. It's going to be really cool. It's going to take a while. Expect to see it after Orsinium. So, because Orsinium's coming up so quickly after Imperial City, we don't want to rush it. We want to make sure that it's all there. So expect that after Orsinium. But we are going to do it. And there's tons more. This list could go on. We're constantly trying to find ways to make the game better. We're trying to find. We take feedback all the time. We read the forums, as Rich has told you. We take feedback and then we do what we can to make the game better constantly. So it's not just DLC that's named that you have to buy. This stuff is going to roll into the game, no charge when it's ready, and we'll talk a lot more about it as these things come up. So just to give you guys an idea, this is kind of the quality of life stuff that we're working on. So that's the presentation. Thanks everyone, seriously. It's been It's such a huge honor to come down here and talk to you guys, because we often, it's been a really, 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 really busy year for us, and we haven't gotten out of the office a whole lot. It's great to come down to a live audience and on Twitch and actually talk about the things, talk about the future. We've been so busy getting, Tamriel Unlimited launched and then console, and now it's really, really good to talk about the future. We have a lot of great plans. We're not going to stop working on the game. We're always going to make it better. So I have one note to say. They're going to be handing out cards when you leave the auditorium that are good for free crowns. So sorry you guys on Twitch. Next time, come here in person. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
present, future. The Elder Scrolls hold all of Tamriel's history. That which has transpired, and that which is yet to be. They speak of heroes and their quests, of challenges yet to be faced, and prophecies yet to be fulfilled. But they do not tell us your role, for your destiny is your own to craft. Will you fade into memory? Or will you carve your name into myth and join those who have become legends?